Hello, friends, and welcome to another Nostalgia Talk. This is episode number 15. Holy crap. I cannot believe we've gotten this far. 15 episodes since October, but here we are. I'm James, and today I am very happy to welcome a fellow Canadian, and I hope I don't pronounce the name incorrectly, Lee Tockar. Welcome, Lee.
That's right. Yes, I should pronounce it Lee Tockar because talking is what I do for a living, for the
That,
most part. But
that's what
oh
I
well,
thought. That's what I thought
too
it
late.
was when I.
Too late in the game now.
That's exactly what I thought it was when I read your name for the first time. So.
Yes, and I got your name right too.
Yes, it's funny. Marty Robinson, when he came on here, he's like, "How do you pronounce your last name?" I've heard Nobies, Knob.
Nobi. That's
Yeah,
weird.
yes. My sister plays basketball. She had a TV game on, and I was watching it. And the commentator's like, "I'm not sure whether or not this is pronounced Nobies or Nobes." They were 50% right.
There you go. That's all we can ever hope for in this world.
Mm. Now,
So
before
yeah, it's very nice to be here. Thanks for having me on your show, and I'll help promote you if I can, and see if we can up your ratings and get some more subscribers for you, and the whole thing. You can fire away when ready.
Thank you very much, Lee. Now, before I start the interview, I just have a little shout out I'd like to give. This past Thursday, February the 18th, was the birthday of a past Nostalgia Talk guest. You might know him as the voice of Krang on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And if you're a Pixar kid like me, one of the substitute voices for Buzz Lightyear, Pat Fraley. Pat, I know I got in touch with you already, but happy late birthday, dude.
Nice. Happy belated.
And also, speaking of, earlier this week, I heard from past Nostalgia Talk guest Ivy Austin, Sesame Street vocalist for such songs as Five Waltzing Chairs, Six Circus Balls, A New Way to Walk, Serial Girl, a bunch of others.
Cool.
Her birthday passed in January, and I gave her a shout out not too long after when I was doing the show. And I made, if you follow me on social media, then you probably already saw this, but I made this drawing of all of the, well, not all, but most of the segments that she had sung on for the show, and she got it, and she sent me a picture of it framed. So
Oh
in the
wow.
in the edit, the photograph that you're seeing came from Ivy, and I swear to God, I got permission for that. So Ivy, thank you very much for framing that photograph, or drawing rather. You have no idea how much that means to me to have my artwork framed by somebody who I've watched on TV for years. So thank you very much for that.
And you had another friend of mine, Matt Hill, on the show from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I've been in
Yes.
hundreds of episodes of cartoons with him.
Mm.
And he's a wonderful, wonderful spark plug of a human being. He's just so much energy, that guy. And today is another very dear friend of mine, Nicole Oliver's birthday,
Oh,
from
wow.
My Little Pony.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Nicole. And it's funny you mentioned Matt. Matt and Ivy have the same birthday.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, there you
Facebook
go.
Facebook reminded me of that.
Thank you, Facebook. Where would I be without? So many times, because I'm terrible with birthdays. I'd forget my own if I, well, I'm deliberately trying to forget my own as the older I get now. But there you are.
Well, that's going to be hard for this next little shout out. Lee's birthday just passed recently, so happy belated birthday, Lee.
Thank you, thank you. Yes. So I'm officially, I don't care if anybody knows, I'm 52. So last year was 2020, which is, they say hindsight is 2020. And for anybody that's turning 52, there are 52 cards in a deck. So after a year of 2020 hindsight, I'm finally playing with a full deck.
Wow.
Right?
You're
I
the
just
same you're the same age as my dad, but my dad's gonna, I'm sorry, Dad, if this makes you feel old, but he's gonna be 53 in May.
Oh, well, that actually simultaneously made me feel a little old too, but that's okay. That's all right. I'm old enough to be your father. Never mind.
Well,
Oy,
this
oy, Vishmir.
well, the name of this show is Nostalgia Talk, so I have a feeling that a lot of people listening probably feel really old. Hello to my first friend Rachel, if you're listening to this.
Rachel whom?
Smith. I did a YouTube video with her where we compare what we know about each other. I love reminding her that she's old.
Oh, that's not a good thing to do, probably, but oh well.
Yeah, we get a kick out of it. So
Yeah.
now I'm gonna stop rambling and get right down to business.
All right.
So
Okay.
first question: how did you become interested in voice acting?
Well, I was a kid and I used to go to my grandma's place to visit on weekends. And every Saturday morning, I would sit in front of the big floor mount television on the high piled shag and watch Saturday morning cartoons. And so Bugs Bunny, Mel Blanc was my
Yes.
inspiration. Yeah. So I realized, and when I found out that, holy cow, that one guy does all the voices. And then, of course, June Foray did all of the female voices. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And I remember walking down the street in Kelowna on Bernard Avenue, the main street, holding hands with my mom. And she said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was just a little gaffer, just like 4 or something. And I looked up and I said, I want to grow up to be a cartoon. And of course, she immediately probably started to worry a lot about me. It's like, you know.
Wow.
But I knew what I wanted to do at that point, and I started to get involved in talent shows and stuff like that when I was a kid, because my eyes were never worked very well. I was born with not very good eyesight, but my ears were highly attuned, and so I could pick up accents and I could do like Bugs Bunny when I was 5. It sounded better when I was 5 actually, because it was cuter. But now it's like, what's up there, Dad?
Actually, that was pretty good.
Well, it's a living.
Ain't I a stinker?
Yeah. May April showers may come your way.
Oh man, that was a
They bring the
classic.
flowers that bloom in
May.
Oh, you see, you are old beyond your years, young man, because you know all these things. But yeah, no, Bugs Bunny, Mel Blanc really got me interested in it. You know, in a large way. I was like, somebody can do this for a living. So I went to Vancouver from Kelowna as soon as I graduated. Actually, even before I graduated, I started to get odd jobs. I won a BC playwright competition. British Columbia is the province I live in. And I won a BC playwright competition in 1988, and it was performed on Granville Island here. And so I won this award. And so I met all these people that were starring in the show. And one of the people was married to somebody who knew a lot of people in the industry. And they introduced me to some other people who introduced me to a friend of mine named Doug Parker, who directed many early shows. And when cartoons were just a fledgling industry here in Vancouver. And so I would go back home and I would raise up money doing newspapers or selling ice cream or doing whatever I could do. And then I'd save up my money, and I would get on the Greyhound, come out here, do the audition, go back to the Greyhound, go back home and repeat. And I did that often enough until after I graduated, I came here and I walked into the Union of BC Performers and said, I am your next voice coach. And they're like, who are you? And I told them who I was, and then I got some auditions, and then I got a couple gigs, and the rest, as they say, is history.
What was your very first gig?
The first gig I had was for Kokanee Beer. Glacier fresh taste straight from the Kootenays. It's the beer out here. And then my first animation gig was the lead in Street Sharks. I played Ripster, and that was my first foot in the door. And yeah, I was like, hey, what have you done with our dad? So that was Ripster, and I still have a framed hand-painted cell that they gave me of him. It's a hand-painted cell, like when they still hand-painted cells before the Cintiq and the digital age. So I still have that framed as well.
Speaking of framed photos.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of projects produced by Ian James Corlett. You've done Yvonne of the Yukon, and my personal favorite, and if any of you guys out there listen to the Matt Hill show, then you know the story. And if you knew me in elementary school, you know the story. First thing I would do in the morning before school, have breakfast and watch Being Ian. So these projects that you've done with Ian, is that because of your connection? Like when Ian has a new project, does he often ask you to come and do voices on them?
Well, I played a couple little small roles in Being Ian, but not really large roles. And but Ian Corlett and I had done already so many cartoons together before he made it as a creator. So he's a very, and still is a very noteworthy voice actor. And I just saw him last year before the pandemic thing, and we went out for supper with another friend of mine, John Bailey Crumpton, who's the voice of Honest Trailers, and the three of us went out and shot the proverbial poop. and just had a great old time talking about the old days. And Ian and I've been in so many cartoons together. I think it's such a small community here in Vancouver. It's just sort of natural that we'd be like, hey, it would be great for this, because we've all heard each other's bits and our shtick and what we can do. So it doesn't, I never really had to audition too much for stuff, because people just know what I do. And then they know what I sound like, and they know my range and all the different accents I can do. We all know each other's bits and steal from them liberally.
Well, I will
So,
say I actually was able to identify your voice in an episode of Being Ian.
oh yes, yeah.
It was the episode where and I'll put a link in the corner of the video if anyone would like to see it. If you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it and would like to see it again just for nostalgic purposes. It was the episode where Ken was raising money for his, at the time, spa and keyboard store, because the keyboards and the music in the store wasn't making the money and the spa was. And so he had a little jogathon, and your character thought it was for the spotted slug.
Yes, that's right. No, that's stepping into the Wayback Machine for sure. Holy cow.
And
mean,
I still remember the line, "Wait, we're raising money for your spa and keyboard store?"
Man, I forgot even that. Holy cow. It's been, I bet, after 8,000 episodes, I've been over 8,000 episodes of animation now. So it's really hard to, and because being Ian, I've been in hundreds of episodes with Ian, but only a few in being Ian. So it's really hard to like go back in my Rolodex in my head and just say, and pick out actual lines. So, but it was fun, and I'm very proud of Ian for what he did. And he really stepped up with that. He was the first one of us that actually, well, no, that's not true. He did Ivana the Yukon with Terry Klassen as well. They created that with my friend Mo Sherwood, who designed it and storyboarded it. And Mo Sherwood is a very talented storyboard artist, still alive today and going strong as a storyboard artist. And he also has taken up driftwood carving and turning them into whales and sea turtles and things.
Wow.
And it's called Mo's Whales. If you go, so look up Mo Sherwood on Instagram and all that other stuff, and you'll see all of his fun creations. But he's still an active, one of the best storyboard artists in Western Canada.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
It's so funny, Ivana the Yukon and Being Ian. I knew what I have a memory of watching Ivana the Yukon in a hotel or at a friend's place one night when I was really, 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 really little, and my mom was there. This was about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think I knew the name Ivana the Yukon from Being Ian because there were a few episodes that referenced that show.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Most specifically, there was one where they were Ian's parents had bought him a moldy cheese sandwich that was eaten by Ian's idol, Werner Wolfenstein. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And so he loses the cheese sandwich by accident, and they pull off a movie-inspired heist, and they give all these code names and for the characters. And one of the code names is Ivana the Yukon. And I remember,
I love it. Self-referential stuff is my favorite.
Well, that was one of my mom's very favorites because Ian asked them to bring balaclavas, as in ski masks.
Yeah.
And Sandy, you remember Sandy from Being Ian, right?
Yes.
She brings pastry dishes, baklavas.
Balaclava.
Yeah, instead of a balaclava. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like I may have misused both those words.
No, balaclava is the proper pronunciation, and
Okay.
and I think balaclava is no. I think it's also it's a Turkish sweet honey sort of dessert thing.
My mom got such a big kick out of that, but I really loved the sequence where basically Oddbald, who and for those of you who don't know, Oddbald is voiced by Ian Corlett, in addition to being the creator of the show. Oddbald's code name was Armadillo Man. Corey and Tyrone, for some reason, think that they're Armadillo Man. The whole episode is them bickering. I'm Armadillo Man. No, I'm Armadillo Man. You were Captain Skirmish. Wrong. No, you're wrong.
Hilarious. You're a warehouse of information, young man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So one of your best known roles is as Snips for the My Little Pony franchise. So
yeah, it's way up there. Yeah. He's for considering that he wasn't one of the main six, he got a lot of play. So
Yeah,
I love
when
doing
I
that.
was
That
looking,
was with my friend Richard Ian Cox, and he played Snails. And the two of us are we've been in many shows together as well. And so we have a very good comic rapport. And so they actually, when they called us in, when Terry Klassen, the director, called us in, he didn't know which one of us he wanted to do either part. He just called us in for both roles. And so I just ended up with the Snips one. Because I have this really sketchy, sort of high, sort of voice like this, you know? So, yeah, this sort of thing down here. whatever he was doing. I can't remember what he did for that. But yeah, it was fun. And considering again that I'm not one of the main six, I had that character. I had Stephen Magnet, the fabulous sea serpent. I had the first East Indian pony, which was coriander cumin. It does not matter. No pony wants to try anything different anyway. So I had that, and I had the angry beaver and a whole bunch of these little characters. And that show and its success took me all over the world to different conventions. I've met some wonderful friends that are still my friends to this day. And I've met a wonderful lady through that who's still a very good friend of mine, but we actually dated for a long time.
Ooh.
and we got engaged. So it's just she'd never been to a convention before. She's like, I don't know what this is, where am I? And I'm like, you're in a crazy world right now. So I said, this is new to me too. But thanks to My Little Pony and shows like that, I have met some of the cartoons has been really good to me. I've really been very blessed. So I picked a winning pony.
To get ready for this, I was looking up many of your roles on a website called Behind the Voice Actors.
Oh yeah, I like those guys.
Yeah, I go there quite a lot. Sometimes when I've chatted with people like Bob Bergen and Pat Fraley, I go right to Behind the Voice Actors in case there's any characters that I'm not familiar with that maybe are popular, because I sometimes different actors for different things, even if it's not what they're most popular for among most people.
Yeah.
And so you've done quite a few roles on My Little Pony, as you were mentioning. Do you often audition for them, or are they sometimes just offered to you?
It's about 50-50. Sometimes they just want me in. But most of the times it's a free-for-all. It's because they want the best for their cast, and so they won't know what they want to hear until they hear it sometimes. So and especially once the franchise got so big, then a lot of people were in the room and putting in their 2 cents and trying to make the decisions. And so they really wanted to go right through the whole audition process with almost everybody. It was very rare that they knew the kind of character, and they knew the type of actor that and range that character needed, and so they knew the type of people to select from in town, so they could automatically whittle it down to, okay, I want to see this and this person first, and then after that, if they've heard that, then they'll go to the general casting call. So it's a 50-50 split.
Okay, interesting. So another series that you're most well known for is Johnny Test.
Oh, it's still going strong.
Yeah, I was wondering, are you going to be doing Bling-Bling Boy for the reboot?
I certainly hope so. I don't think anybody else could be Bling-Bling Boy. So I will destroy Pork Belly unless Susan Test goes on a date with me.
Well, another past guest that I actually had on this show is a good friend of mine here in Halifax, the animation director for Johnny Test, Ron Doucette.
Oh yes, Ron. Hi, Ron.
Hey, Ron, if you're listening.
Hi, Ron. Ron, if you're not listening, why are you not listening? Actually, if you're not listening, then you wouldn't hear this anyway. So that's a sort of an existential thing.
I met Ron when I was 7 because he was doing an online puppet show at the time, and I had been watching. It was very Muppet-esque. It was called The Whippets, and I would be on it. I'd bring some of my puppets, and we'd do a little bit of improv. And so I went to his animation studio, and after I chatted with some of his puppets, it was like those Muppet and Kid moments on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
I watched Ron work on Johnny Test, which I had never seen. It was brand new at the time.
Oh yeah, no, Johnny Test is great. The guy who created Johnny Test is a machine. His name is Scott Fellows, and he is one of the funniest creators and writers in Hollywood. He is he's just he's a machine. He can write so funny, and he just knows funny. And Scott gave me the opportunity to play many characters. Like I played the General on Johnny Test, and Speed McCool. Hey, I like your monkey. And I play Albert the butler, of course, and Mortimer Mouse, which is basically Snips, and a whole bunch of other characters. And of course, Bling Bling his real name is Eugene, and his mother is just this voice in the back room, Eugene, who is a voice based on my friend Daryl Holt. I've known since I was 4. His mother sounds like that, Marilyn. You kids just keep it down there.
Sounds like Richard Hunt. Do you know who Richard Hunt is?
I know the name.
He was one of the original Muppet performers. He was Scooter, Beaker, Janice, Sweetums, Forgetful Jones. Yes. Dawn Music, Gladys the Cow, Sully, who never spoke at all. So Richard was Richard was literally getting paid just to wiggle a puppet.
Well, that kind of screechy kind of like it sounds very much Gonzo too, right? Hey, girls! It's got that Eugene.
That sounded like a little mix of Gonzo, Scooter, and Gladys the Cafeteria Lady. Another Richard Hunt character, by the way.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I was so impressed, and might I say to your subscribers and listeners, I was so impressed, and this is one of the reasons why I took this interview. Is number one, there's 3 reasons. One, Matt Hill did it, and Matt Hill is one of my besties. He's a great guy, and I know he wouldn't do anything with anybody that wasn't on the like a nice person and professional. 2, I looked you up and I saw some of your shows, and you looked professional, and your show is really great for what it is and for how long you've been doing it. I'm really impressed with you. And 3 is just you like Muppets, and I never get interviews with people who are Muppet fanatics. Like I have I'm an Uber fan for Sherlock Holmes stuff and for different things, but Muppets is one of my other favorite things and it's been one of my things since I was a little boy.
Well, let me say, stay tuned, because the next video I have coming out, it's another Nostalgia Talk bonus, as I call it. I'm going to be chatting with Joe Hennes and Ryan Rowe from the Muppet fan blog Tough Pigs. We're going to be talking about the Muppet Show. The
original?
Yep.
Dun, 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 dun,
dun. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I was just watching
that. Sorry. I just happened to have a kazoo because I had my little googly eyeballs here that I got from taking a course from somebody from the Jim Henson Studios, from Brufflevic Television, who first did Reboot, and they were putting on they got this guy up here from LA, and he did a course in puppeteering, and I'm like, me, pick me. So.
And now you're doing Dinosaur Train for the Henson Company.
Yeah, I did that. I did Kritoxy for that, and that was quite a few years ago. And but yeah, I still have my toes in the water there, and many franchise. Star Wars Lego. I did the Darth Maul. That was very cool for me because I'm a huge Darth Maul fan, and so yeah. And but yeah, so I want to see this next episode of yours with the Jim Henson. I want to see the original. I want to hear things from the original Muppets.
Oh, you definitely will.
Yeah, Statler and Waldorf. There's a little local hangout that I used to go to, and up in the corner they had an exact replica of the theater box, and the exact replica of the 2 of them, Statler and Waldorf, named after the Statler Hotel and the Waldorf Hotel and the Waldorf Astoria in New York.
There was one episode of the Muppet Show where instead of Statler, Waldorf brought his wife, Astoria.
Oh, I don't think I saw that one. The Waldorf Astoria. Oh my God, that's so brilliant.
So going back to Johnny Test. So first of all, you mentioned one of your characters was named Mortimer Mouse. It's funny. There's a Disney character named Mortimer Mouse. I don't know. I
Disney
don't
never came knocking, so.
I don't know if you ever saw that, but there was a cartoon where Mickey and Minnie were out on a picnic, and then this very tall, very arrogant, jocular kind of character comes over, and he's like, "Well, if it isn't my old sweetie, Minnie Mouse," and turns out to be a past friend of Minnie's who just tries too hard to be funny, but it's like Harvey Kneeslapper from Sesame Street. It's funny to the point where
Oh
it's
yeah,
annoying.
that's hilarious. Yeah, no, I'm very happy to have been a part of that Johnny Test franchise for all these these many years. I actually got the voice for Bling-Bling Boy. Not a lot of people know this, from Joan Cusack when she played the nurse in the Addams Family.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
Mr. Adams, your children are just delightful. And she had this sort of lisp under her lip there, and so I just took that and I made him put into Bling Bling, and that's the way he talks. So Joan Cusack is the original thing for that
So
inspiration.
did you audition for Bling Bling, or is that one that was just
Yeah,
kind
I
of
did.
offered to you? Okay.
Yeah, no, they auditioned me for it, but once he stepped out of my mouth, everybody was like, "Yep, that's Bling Bling." So.
One of my I've seen quite a few episodes of Johnny Test, of course, to support Ron, because I was there when he was making it. But one of my very favorite episodes was and I actually used to get it confused for Bling Bling, but one of the characters had gone up to Johnny and said, "Guess what lessons I started taking?" And then karate chops him, "Kung Fu lessons!" Before getting ready for this, I thought that was Bling Bling.
Well, it's hard not to step on toes when you're doing these things because there's so many voices. It's hard to come up with original voices. Everything is an amalgamation of things you've heard before, and hybrids most of the time. But yeah, no, I'm just, again, I'm very happy to be part of Scott Fellow's dream of Johnny Test. We also did Super Noobs together. He created Super Noobs, and Matt Hill was in that. Richard Ian Cox was in that. So the all my hashtag cartoon, my cartoon family, I call it. We all play together often, but with this pandemic, we don't get to play as much anymore. We have to go into the studio one at a time, and then they go in after we're done and they just spray everything down in hazmat suits and make sure there's no particulate matter in the air from sweaty actors.
Well, how's everything in BC with the pandemic?
Oh, well, it is the same as it is everywhere, I would imagine. It's crappy.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I mean, I'm working on some novels and I'm working on some kids books, and so I don't really notice much of a difference anyway because I always have been a little bit of a recluse. I just don't like being told I can't go out. Then that snooty little kid inside me goes, "What do you mean? You're not the boss of me. I'll do what I want." But I just stay at home and I don't really notice it. But thankfully, some of the old cartoons are coming back now. It's different. It's different, but it's still a thriving community here. It's just that it happens to take a little longer to make one cartoon because they can't do an ensemble cast anymore in the studio. They have to do it one at a time, which is, it's kind of sucks because you can't riff off people. You can't play back and forth. So you just got to read the script and hope for the best and listen to the director.
So, can you talk a little bit about doing Doktor Frogg on League of Super Evil?
Oh, he is one of my favorite characters. I love Dr. Frog. He's a cross between Ren Hoek from Ren and Stimpy and Peter Lorre from, well, all of Peter Lorre's work. He always has that sort of thing like this. "Do you like me now, Rick? Do you like me now?" So he has that sort of thing. But out of all the League of Super Evil, he was the one that was actually trying to be evil. He really wanted to take over the world. And I kind of gave him a little shell shock victim from Vietnam. Like, "Hey, man, we got to go back for Charlie's leg, man." "Charlie came out of the bushes, man. Hey, we left him there. We got to go back for Charlie's leg, man." My favorite line, I think, out of all the things that I've ever said in all of cartoondom and all of my things, because Dr. Frog was always getting pitched and punched and squished and squashed and hurled through the air and landing on things. And so screaming was part of his repertoire. And my favorite line was 5 words. And after a long arc through the air, it's like, ah! Oh, I landed on my keys.
Ouch.
I just love that.
So when I was typing up the Q&A, I hadn't watched League of Super Evil in a long time, but I remember when it was on YTV. So I noticed that Dr. Frogg's name was, instead of how you traditionally spell the words Doctor and Frog, it was spelled Doktarfrogg. Was that the way that his name was spelled in the scripts?
That's the way it was spelled in the scripts.
Okay.
Yeah. As opposed to in My Little Pony, Stephen Magnet was actually an autocorrect mistake. And his name was typed into the script's Sea Serpent, and autocorrect named him Stephen Magnet. And everybody just went, okay, he's Stephen Magnet.
How did that happen?
That's autocorrect. It's just autocorrect. FYI, little known fact.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
In the League of Super Evil stuff that I had seen, I always thought that God, I can't talk today.
Menace,
I always thought that he looked like Mr. Incredible.
A little bit, yeah. If you could swap the voice out, but the body type was the same. Yeah. But Colin Murdoch, again, just super funny. Holy cow. Just cracks me up whenever we are in a room together. He's just a very, very spontaneously funny person.
Do you think that it would have been a little bit different if Craig T. Nelson, who voiced Mr. Incredible, was doing Red Menace?
Well, I have never worked with him before, so there wouldn't have been the rapport probably. But I'm sure, as long as I was in the studio, that means my rent is paid, so I'm good. I know that seems very cutthroat, but my favorite cartoons are the ones that pay me. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. It is a job. I mean, I have to look at it like a career. So I have to keep my voice limber, and I keep myself fresh and sharp, and my wits about me. Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about another show where you played the star, Yakkity Yak?
Oh, Yakkity. I love playing Yakkity Yak. He was fun. I didn't know what to do with him how he came about was a little bit of Bullwinkle. Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. And so he had this sort of thing down here, and and then he had this really high part up here. And then that voice launched into another voice later on for Kate and Mim Mim, which was a preschooler or just past preschooler show. And Mim Mim was the same sort of thing, but a little bit sweeter and a little bit dumber. So there's a lot of crossover voices that I've done.
Wow.
But no, Yakkity Yak was hilarious. And that went on for quite a long time too. Wow, that went on for a lot longer. And yeah. So there you go.
Yeah,
Super Evil actually wrote a couple episodes for League of Super Evil, some of the season finales. I wrote some of the season finales for League of Super Evil.
Oh,
I wrote
cool.
Cloudy with a Chance of Stupid and Steve, because Voltar was always getting upset at his neighbor, Steve. And whenever he'd scream at Steve over the fence, Steve was just this voice. He goes, I don't care. So, yeah. Anyway.
I always thought that Voltar looked like a bug.
He did. In real life, too.
Roast battle.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I think I only ever watched Yakkity Yak maybe once or twice, but I watched it with my dad on Teletoon one early morning. My family's used to waking up early, and I still remember my dad knew the Yakkity Yak song. Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no sending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakkity Yak! Don't talk back. Yeah, I remember my father doing the "Don't talk back" line.
Yeah, and Ian Corlett did that one line.
Oh,
Don't
really?
talk back.
I'll have to listen for that again. Oh man,
Yeah.
this is really taking me back in time, but I love
I
it.
know. See, that's what you get when you talk to an old guy first thing in the morning.
Especially on a show called Nostalgia Talk.
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of nostalgia, another big role of yours, one that me and my friends grew up with, would be George in George of the Jungle. How did you get that part?
Oh, well, they weren't going to let me do it at first, but I'm like, no, you have to let me do this. You have to let me do this. And so, because they wanted somebody young and whatever, but I just said, like, I just knew what to do. Okay, so moon is there and sun is there. Oh, I don't know where here is. So he was just a very fun-loving and stupid character. He was not very smart.
Yeah,
But he was lovable.
as opposed to in the original George of the Jungle cartoon by Jay Ward and Bill Scott, which was done in segments, and most of
Yes.
their shows were.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to write for that one. Jay Faulkner was the show director, and I submitted some script ideas for them, but they weren't accepted.
Aw.
Bits of them made their way into the show, and I was like, hey, I gave you that idea, but that's okay. They were still paying me to have voice act. I wasn't going to rock the boat.
I take it they never gave you any credit for that on screen?
No, they did not.
Aw.
No,
Boo.
I know. Damn you.
Yeah. Now, were you a fan of the original George of the Jungle series?
Oh, of course I was. Yeah. It used to be on something. Now, this is going back even before my time. Well, it's when I was just a little boy. I used to watch a show that I think it came out of Washington, and it was called JP Patches. It was the JP Patches. He was a clown, and he'd have these segments, and in this what some of the segments would be George of the Jungle, strong as you can be, and but it was the original, and I started watching him on JP Patches. It was a really, really funny show. It was a very long time ago, though. Yeah,
Did
but
you ever
yes, I did
see
watch it.
did you ever see the live action film from Disney?
Yes, I did with what's his
Brendan
name?
Fraser.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I did years ago, and I think I saw the second one, George of the Jungle 2, a long time ago as well.
Yeah, it was okay. The movie was okay. I think it was best meant to be just a cartoon, but I mean that's just me.
Yeah, I just did a Nostalgia Talk bonus video where I compared Disney's Inspector Gadget to the original cartoon.
I saw it. I worked with Maurice LaMarche in Inspector Gadget in the cartoon movie. I played Brain and Mad Cat and a couple other little sort of side characters, but just to be in the same room as Maurice LaMarche, and he's such a genuinely nice guy. And my friend Brian Drummond, it was between him and me for Dr. Claw. But he got it, and his voice is just a little bit deeper. So when he does the "I'll get you next time, Gadget, next time," he's there in the pocket, and me, I have to push it a little bit. I'm more the high sort of stuff, like that kind of thing.
I should have done that at the end of the video. I'll see you next time on Nostalgia Talk.
Next time.
That definitely would have gotten a lot more attention. So I got one final little question and a little bit of a surprise. Are you ready?
Right. Okay.
Would you like to, for all of the nostalgic listeners out there, would you like to help me sing the George of the Jungle theme song?
I could try. I don't know if I remember all the words, but sure.
Do you remember the Tarzan yell?
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Do you want mine or the original? I don't know if I could do the original. I could just do mine.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Okay. All right. Well, do you want to okay, you start.
Here we go.
I'm waiting for you.
George of the Jungle, friend to you and me. Go ahead. Watch out for that tree. When he gets in scrapes, he makes his escapes with the help of his friend, an ape named Ape. And then away he'll schlep on his elephant ship, while Maggie and Ursula say in step. I said, George of the Jungle, friend to you and me. Go ahead. Watch out for that tree. Oh man, that was
You're
fun.
amazing. You knew all the words. I didn't know the words to the new version of that, the one I was in.
I had to write them down. I was afraid I'd forget.
Oh, you cheater. Crib notes. Crib notes. I haven't even had a coffee yet. Ah, that's cheating. Oh well. I got the right. That's okay.
When I was in grade 4, somebody I know by the name of Bruce, he did that theme song, and I did that with him. We were like 9 at the time.
Oh, and you know who Ape was played by? Paul Dobson in that, and Paul Dobson is hilarious. Yeah, he's somebody you should get on too. He's really fun. He's in he plays a couple characters in Ninjago, and I play Cyrus Borg in Ninjago. And there's a lot of stuff that's still coming back and still going strong. I don't know if it's coming back again this year, or if it is, I don't know if I'm allowed to say so or not. So, but Cyrus Borg is my every once in a while character that I'll get on Ninjago. But Paul Dobson is in it all the time, so you should get him on. And he played Ape in that, and he's been in a lot of cartoons that when I started out. So he's another person that would definitely fit into the nostalgia pocket.
Oh, I'll definitely keep him in mind. I've got many great guests coming on throughout the next few weeks, so there's something for the regular listeners to look forward to. Many of you listeners already know about Paul Rudolph, and obviously from this video, Joe Hennes and Ryan Rowe, but I've got so many other great ones, and I can't wait to share them with you.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm definitely going to tune in for your stuff, and once this is all edited together and all of that stuff, I can't wait to send me the link, and I'll promote the heck out of it through my social media.
Thank you very much. And since that just about wraps it up, thank you very much for taking the time to chat.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Mr. Nobes, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nobes. Dun, dun, dun. Wait.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, just thank you very much, and everybody stay safe out there and keep watching all the cartoons, and check me out on my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just Lee Tockar. I don't claim to be anybody else, and I don't do any underscores or anything like that. I am what I am. So thank you very much. This has been really fun. It's a nice way to start my day, stepping into the Wayback Machine.
I'm very happy I was able to help you out with that. So for the listeners, peace out and watch out for that tree.
Watch out for that tree. All right. See ya.
Peace.